Welcome to Three Season of Pod. I'm not gonna say the episode again.
Yes, sir.
Technically, all right. Technically, this is a Celtics episode, right?
I mean, it has to be at this.
It's an NBA
It's half.
episode.
It's half Celtics, so it has
It's
to be.
essentially Celtics episode. So we're back, and you know what? This is where we expected to be last year.
Yep.
Right. So we're back. I think something that I've been seeing, specifically from like the player reactions. I think it's important to appreciate that they were able to actually get back because there's a lot of situations, and the most obvious one that comes to mind is the OKC situation with KD, Russ, and James Harden, where they got there so young, and
Yep.
you're thinking, okay, this team has the next 10, 15 years to make it, and then they never make it back. So take a little bit of time to appreciate it,
Yeah, I
even
mean-
though we're nervous.
Yeah, I mean, shout outs to the Celtics. I guess like front office management for investing in the core, or like at least the duo specifically. I think the Thunder and like their front office for sure takes that back, or like the concept that giving away Harden for basically like keeping their money together and all that stuff. Because it's not like it wasn't doable to keep them together. And then even outside of that, which is also like a thing that we should take, like we should appreciate with the Jays, is just like health. They had so many runs after that where it's like one or the other of the stars were just out for their either the postseason or just the season in general. And I think that definitely cut into why they never made it back. And then like obviously the one time that they did or they were close to, the Warriors were already on the scene. So
Yeah, pretty much.
so yeah, I mean the Jays and being able to play like damn near 80 games every season is so underrated, and the reason why we continuously hit the Eastern Conference Finals and have made the finals 2 times out of the last like 3 years.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, shout out to Brad Stevens, my goat. Best GM in recent memory, man.
Man has not made a bad move, bro.
Yo, actually, like, and the quote unquote bad moves is really like non-consequential. Like,
Yeah.
they're really end of the roster shit. Like, who gives a fuck about Mike Muscala, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But all the major moves he's made has just been right on point. But yeah, onto the finals. We all know how we got here, right? The Celtics didn't necessarily dominate the Pacers, but a sweep is a sweep. You take it how you get it, and the Mavs handled business with the Wolves in 5. And I think
Shout out to the Mavs, bro.
shout out to them because I think we all said it. We were like, I'd be shocked if the series doesn't go 7, and it doesn't. Go
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy.
I mean, like after watching and like obviously recontextualizing it from the series, like it makes sense. Like I would say it should have gone 7 regardless, like or at least like extended. But there were like 3. I think the first 3 games, like the Wolves had the lead and like with 5 minutes left, and then their offense just shit the bed. So that was one thing that I was talking about, like since the beginning of the playoffs. But to see it like get highlighted in this series just made a lot more sense, especially the way that the Mavs were like playing them defensively. They were able to clog the paint, make it harder for Ant, and we also said too, like if Ant doesn't continue his crazy hot streak of shooting and from the outside and the inside, they have no chance of like really winning the series. And you saw that because it was just hero ball from Ant. And then on the offensive end, I definitely didn't think about it as much, and I did say that if Luka was like healthy, that's a whole different story. Which I mean, he looked much healthier compared to the Thunder, but that might just be I'm like that just might be the Lou Dort effect, and not having to run into a fucking brick wall every single time he goes down the court.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Luka looked great, and they were basically stretching out the defense in a way that no other team has been able to do for the Timberwolves yet, because no other team was as great on the perimeter that they had versed. So their matchups made a lot more sense leading up to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, for sure.
Nah, man. Shout out to the Mavs, bro. Like, watching those games. I mean, I know we say defense wins championship, but in that case, bro, their offense was just insane, bro. They're going bonkers in the Wolves, man. Like,
Especially that closeout game, bro.
Yeah, like the Wolves, like, they're a defensive team, like, best defense in the league. And then you just see the Mavs just come out and just absolutely torture, bro. It's crazy. Like, still in the first 2, I mean, at the Wolves' home court, obviously, that's kind of crazy. in itself. And the Wolves haven't been playing good, I guess, at home anyway. But man, I think Luka and Kyrie, I mean, them kind of getting the recency of the best backcourt like offensive duo recently. I don't know, man. I can see that, but I think that's another debate, in my opinion. I don't know about
the best backcourt thing.
the best offensive backcourt in NBA history.
I mean, the only one I would like think off the top of my head, without going like way back in the days, obviously, is just like Steph and Clay.
Yeah.
And
no, for sure.
that I still feel is a conversation because they play so differently from each other that it's
Yeah.
hard to equate. But obviously,
I
like
mean, Luka and Kyrie can both initiate. I felt like Clay was
no,
more,
exactly.
You know, kind of
Yeah.
like a complimentary to Steph.
hmm
So,
But I mean, hey, Clay,
no, he's
bro,
I'm
he
not-
he don't got a dribble, bro. In his
I'm
prime,
not-
like
I'm not
people
taking away
forget.
from Clay,
No,
but
yeah, I know.
From like in a vacuum, if I'm taking two offensive players, low key, like in a one-on-one, like okay, who's
Setting,
better
yeah.
offensive matchup? I'm probably gonna take Luka and Kyrie.
No, I mean
But
that's
it's-
fair.
It's
I,
definitely a conversation, though.
yeah,
That's a
I
good-
think personally, like I would go the same with like Luca and Kyrie, but it's just like
Yeah.
I
lot
sometimes I
closer. It's a
forget,
lot
bro.
closer
Like
than-
like yeah, like Clay dropped 60 without dribbling like
Clay is like-
at all.
Dribbled 2 times.
yeah, like that's just crazy.
It's a wild dude. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, shout out to the Mavs, though, but they might be up for a wake up call. They see us.
For sure. And,
See.
you know, also kudos to their defense. I think the scheme of
No, absolutely.
doubling Ant and forcing him to kind of make reads he probably isn't comfortable with making yet. And then I think
Mhm.
they ran Cat off the 3-point line and forced him to kind of like he kind of looked like okay. I'm obviously not calling him this, but like he's obviously not Grant Williams. But like
Mhm.
it kind of reminded me of like the running when people used to run Grant Williams off the 3-point line. He would up fake and then he would drive into the lane.
Yeah, and it's just
that's-
awkward looking
and
or
it's not
feeling.
really Cat's strength. You know, Cat is a better back to the basket player and obviously a great 3-point shooter. So
Yeah.
shout out to them for scheming it that way. And I think that really like limited how well the offense for the Wolves could perform.
Yeah, I mean, like having Gobert be like not be an offensive threat at all was definitely like highlighted by the way that they were able to just pack the paint. And I think, yeah, I mean, I was saying it too, where it was like Ant was versing Jokic and Nurkic in the paint in the last 2 series. So this man was just free lane every single time, and that plays a huge part into why he was, I'm sure, feeling even better shooting from the outside too. Shout out to him though too, like throughout the series. I think he showed like development. I wouldn't say like he got to the point where oh my god, like he's playmaking off these coverages and stuff. But to see like progression through each game was actually like pretty impressive. You know, as he was trying to like will some wins and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And then on to the East real quick. You know, shout out JB. Got to give JB some of his flowers. I think
Of course.
you know, I honestly think he's been playing, other than like a few stretches in the Miami series where it was kind of like, holy shit, here we go again. And
Yeah.
maybe it was just a credit to the way Miami schemes against us. They know how to make you uncomfortable, right? But like JB's had an amazing playoff run, and you know, give him his flowers for an Eastern Conference MVP, considering where we were last year.
Mhm.
After Game 7, that shit was hard. That train ride home, not the funny train ride home, right?
Oh, no, sir.
So give that man his flowers. You know, I personally, you know, I'm not. I get it. I think I would have personally gave it to JT, but there's no complaint on my end that he didn't get it, that JB.
Yeah, especially because it was a 1 vote difference.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't like egregious or anything, and you could just tell that they favored the moments over like you know the totality of the series. Because I mean, if it is only 4 games, if it extended a little bit longer, obviously the consistency and numbers and like all that kind of stuff would matter. But JB definitely had like 2 to 3 very big moments throughout those 4 games.
He made a lot of the bigger plays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, man, he never win shit. So I guess it was time for him. Yeah, he earned it. So
Yeah, he
it's all
definitely earned
respect
it.
to JB, bro.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Which I'm glad he got his flowers.
Yo,
yeah, for sure.
for sure. Yo, that $300 million looking like a bargain right now. So,
Turn him up for the playoffs, man.
yo,
Keep
for
talking.
real. But anyway, on to the finals.
Come on.
I think who did we have? I think we all had the Nuggets in the finals.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
we
all
did.
of us had the Nuggets.
Initially, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think the Mavs. Maybe obviously things changed throughout the season, right? They made great deadline trades. They got
Mhm.
P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. I don't think anybody expected Derek Lively to be as impactful as he was throughout the season. But
He
yo,
definitely like exceeded expectations, but I definitely thought he was gonna be very good for them.
right.
Yeah.
So going into this final, um, you know, Celtics best team in the league all year. I think we can assume KP is going to be back. Like literally
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything they've put out has kind of signaled, hey, he's going to be ready for game 1.
Yep.
So going into the series, what do you think? Let's look at it from both points of view here, right? Because I think we all know who we think will win and how we think
Mhm.
the series will play out. But like, let's do a pros and cons type of deal. Like, what's something that you think the Celtics have an advantage in, and what's a disadvantage, and then vice versa for the Mavericks, right? So let's do advantages for both teams first.
Okay.
I think
I mean,
advantages. Oh my
I
god.
would say perimeter defense, obviously, or like personnel,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
is something that the Celtics, especially when they lock in, will be able to uh, not take advantage of, but definitely be the worst matchup that or like the hardest matchup that the Mavs have been put against.
Mhm.
I know we talked about the Timberwolves being the number one defense and stuff like that, but it was interesting because I think there was someone made a tweet or someone had posted it or whatever where they had thrown like 5 different coverages at Luca and none of them worked.
Yeah.
And it was in a time span of one game essentially. But I think that it showed like the youth as well too, where
Yep.
as they were trying to switch shit because they just didn't know what to do against Luca, they didn't always know where to place themselves or how to like effectively play that defensive coverage. And I don't think that will be as prevalent in the Celtics. Obviously, they're going to have to throw a lot of coverages. Luka's going to like not be affected by a lot of them as well too. We'll see what works and what doesn't. But I think the Celtics personnel and like the IQ of them and the age and all that kind of stuff won't show up as much in terms of not knowing how to blitz versus like uh staying home compared to
Yeah.
what the Timberwolves were basically showing, where they never really blitzed before, and as they started to blitz, they were kind of like lost in those kinds of coverages.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I agree with the perimeter defense, but I guess this could be kind of like a pro and a con. I think size and like the height matchup. I think it could definitely an advantage size. Like all of our bigs we could play 5 out, and I guess that's going to force the Mavs to kind of have to adjust, and they're going to have to guard the three because if we get KP back, it's obviously going to be shooting threes, searching the floor. Al can do that, so that's definitely could be an advantage for us. But a disadvantage is on the other side, Mavericks have the big body. Their version of the Twin Towers with Gafford and Lively. So, well, as long as KP is back and healthy, I think that's going to be not really much of an advantage for them. But even that, like I think they're going to be forced to be reckoned with throughout the series, however many games the series goes. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's one for me.
I think for me, I agree with both of you guys. Like, and to add a little bit to the defense, I guess specifically against Luca type of thing, we have the capable personnel, and I think we have more physical personnel comparatively. Like Jaden McDaniels is a great defender, but he's just not big enough to guard Luca.
Yeah,
And I think we talked about this a little bit together. Like, I don't think we want Drew or Derek to guard Luca. I think we want either JT or JB.
yeah,
Ideally JT, because he's the most
Mhm.
equipped. Like,
but it's not gonna happen.
but it's not gonna happen.
Nah, that's
But
not.
Unfortunately.
he has like the perfect combination of like not athleticism, but like quickness, length, size, and
Strength.
physicality.
Yeah,
So
strength is honestly just the biggest thing against Luca.
for
Like
sure.
you could see that even with Lou Dort being the most effective per se. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're making complaints about fouls and shit, but that's a different
That's a
conversation.
different conversation, right? But I mean, it's the playoffs. You got to be a little bit more physical. But for
Yeah.
me, I think the advantage the Celtics have is their overall depth, right? Like I think what top to bottom, and this is where the 5 out comes into play, right? You're starting KP, and you're literally starting a 5 out offense, right? So you're low key taking away one of the Mavs' strengths on defense, which is a Lively or Gafford anchor, right? And pulling that paint defender out and allowing the Jays to slash. And then when you go to the bench, it's kind of like a continuation of that, I think our depth is a huge advantage here, specifically when KP comes back. If and we're assuming he's
Yeah, yeah.
so I do like that for the Celtics, and then
Which is fair.
for the Mavericks, and I know we had this like debate for a while but between us and kind of like around the league, but I think at this point in their careers so far, and with the product that we've seen on the court, I think we can all agree that Luka's the best player in this series going in.
Absolutely.
And I know it's kind of like an easy answer, but like whenever a team has the best player in a series, there's an advantage there to be had.
Yeah.
And I think the way Luka's been playing, the way he's kind of like been the offense, right? James Harden, I am the system. Like Luka's literally the system, except this time the system has Kyrie. So I think that's a great advantage, and it's like to call back to what Kyle just said about the Wolves series, right? They threw like 5-6 different coverages. They probably threw like at least 20 coverages out of
all together
like
for sure.
5 games. You know what I mean? And none of them worked. He averaged like a 30-point triple double against everything they threw at them, against the best defense in the league, and against a great paint presence in Gobert. They basically isolated him and kind of made him a non-factor. So that's always an advantage to have, I feel.
Yeah. To add to your depth too, I think when you look at it, like all the great players, we know Luka is one, but if you were to rank every other player in the series, I think we, as the Celtics, we have probably the next best, like 5. Like it'll be Luka and Kyrie, and then all the other best players will come from the Celtics. We got JT, JB, KP, Derek White, and Drew Holiday. You're not going to put anybody from Dallas, those guys. So we're all that. We have that advantage, that clear advantage. But in my opinion, it's just going to take not crazy, but pretty like good scoring games from Luka and Kyrie for them to beat us 4 times in this series.
Yeah, I mean that's always been the thing for the Celtics. Just being we've been the most talented team off rip. Even if we were reversing the Nuggets, you could argue that that's basically like the same conversation, where we have like the next 3 guys after like the top 2 of each team. And I think one thing that I assume is going to happen going into like the defense thing of like how we're going to be playing different 5 out. I think Maxi Kleber is going to play a lot more compared to what they've been running up until this finals. Just because Gafford isn't as great on the perimeter, and there's not going to be as much. There's not as much of a point to put both of those guys in to pack the paint because we play 5 out. So it'll be interesting to see that dynamic because obviously Kleber was playing the final game or the final 2 games of the Timberwolves series. Yeah, but so it'll be similar to like how Porzingis has come back or will be coming back, and the basically the rhythm that both of those guys are in, because I think both of them can do similar things. Maxi Kleber obviously is a better perimeter guy because he can just keep up a bit more, but in terms of like spacing the floor and being able to have an offense like that, I think we're going to be trying to do the same things. So that's one thing, but yeah, I think like the main thing for the Mavs going for them is obviously their 2 guys. We've been good in the clutch. That's a whole different conversation for the Celtics and like fake narratives and all that kind of stuff. But Luka and Kyrie, I do feel are the best, or the more trustworthy
Closers.
play finishers, play creators, and stuff like that to finish games. And I would say like if we get into situations that it's similar to where we were with the Pacers, they were not going to look exactly how we looked against the Pacers. It looked like we completely overwhelmed them in the clutch, and I don't think that would be anything close to that if it gets 2 scenarios like that with the Mavs, because of the Luka Kyrie dynamic specifically. Yeah, I mean that's like one of my, and I would say just their front court size overall, I guess, just because they're able to have like bruisers down there. I think KP is not the most aggressive in that kind of way.
He's more of a finesse player than
yeah. So that could easily be like taken advantage of in some kind of way. Just like banging bodies and all that stuff, especially because Porzingis is just coming back. So he's always come back and like flowed with the team very evenly, like throughout the season. whenever he has been injured and just came back, it felt like the first game he's back, it's like back to normal. So I fully expect that for this series as well. But there, I wouldn't doubt if there's any like rust, especially because it is the finals specifically.
100%.
Not for sure. I mean, I think it's real seamless, even when he comes back, because I think we have so many. Like I said, our talent is off the charts. So I think he's just going to come in and not be expected to do as much. Like he'll be put into positions where he's going to be able to thrive and be good. Like we got
I
JT.
honestly, I kind of disagree. I think they're gonna make KP like win the games for us. I think our him being a part of our offense is essentially or him being impactful in our offense is going to be what leads us to win the chip, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
Because
like,
they're going to leave his shots open all the time, or until like he starts to prove that he's back essentially, or like in rhythm.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like game one, it's not like we're going to come up like off. We're going to like force feed him and shit like that. Like we're just going to he's going to be in spots where if he's open, he's going to get the shot. Just we're not going to really put it on him, and then I think as the series goes on, Mavs are going to make their adjustments, and we're going to have to we're going to lean more and more on him once he gets more comfortable and stuff like that. Because that's why, ideally, I have him as the X factor of the series. Because obviously, we've gone through the rest of the playoffs leading up to this without him, and him being off the month and a half or whatever. Of course, there's going to be some rush, but I think to seamlessly just for him to come in and not really get like a huge workload like he normally would, because we have plenty of scores. We got JT, JB, Derek White, and Drew Holiday. I think they'll continue to get theirs until they know KP is back and he's up and running. So I feel like that's kind of our advantage. So I think KP. I'm not saying like KP is gonna have all the time in the world for him to come back and really be really impactful. But I think he's just gonna gradually get into it.
Now, for me, all I'm saying is I think the Mavs, their defensive scheme will be for KP to get those shots.
Yeah.
So it's not more so like when he's there, they'll give it to him, but rather the Mavs are going to want him to get that ball. As in like for that pick and pop, they're gonna stay home. Like they're not gonna contest too much about the pop or KP specifically because he's just coming back from injury and they take that over like the JT offense going. So that's why I think like that is going to be the biggest factor on if he's in rhythm or if he can like basically show up off of the injury.
Yeah, I mean, I think the KP thing, right? If he comes back and he's KP from the regular season, basically, that could be the difference between a 4 or 5 game series versus like a 6 or 7 game series.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like the only question mark for the Celtics. So I think, as far as the con goes, I think KP being a question mark is definitely like a disadvantage for the Celtics. It's funny, right? Because he could easily be the advantage. But just to kind of play into what you were saying, like I agree. I do think the first thing we're gonna see from the Mavs is them testing how well KP actually is, right? Both offensively and defensively. I think they're gonna kind of test how good is that knee and how rusty is that offense.
Yep.
And I think that also plays into the other disadvantage that I saw, and I don't know what to label this under. I don't know if it has a category, but I think we kind of all were complaining about it, and I feel like JT should be our main initiator, and he hasn't been. Like he has, and for the games he has been, the teams look great in those moments. But then we kind of really do fall back into kind of like letting JB initiate, letting Derek initiate, letting Drew initiate. And I think, while I think they're all capable, we're at our best and kind of most elite level when it's the Jason Tatum offense. Like, I don't know if you guys agree, if you guys disagree. I know there's kind of like a discourse going around, right? Like, I think they call it the All Lives Matter offense, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, we have capable players. But let's be honest here. I think a team is going to be at its best when its best player has the ball in their hands.
Yeah,
and
I definitely think we've gotten closer to finding a good balance. I don't think that before, dude, I was on the hype train or I was on the bandwagon of like, yo, AT all the time. um, because it just looked awful without, or like
Yeah,
it
100%.
looked significantly better every when he was
The guy.
initiating. So I was like, hey, 24/7, give him the ball, bro. Like that's all we need. But
Mhm.
I would say throughout the Pacers series, the way that we were starting to close things out and like just playing the game overall, it was nice to see that we did end up still leaning more towards JT in general. But I think everyone kind of it flowed a bit better, and that was
Yeah.
just simply because JT was hitting more of the shots that we expect him to hit. When he's not hitting those shots and he's not initiating, that shit looks horrible, and it's like
Yeah.
that's something for us to complain about.
Right.
But a lot of those times, like he was just missing a lot of the easy shots that he should be making. So I think there's somewhere in the middle of that. I don't think that it should be for sure like that all lives matter offense or whatever the fuck. Um, but I've started to understand that it's not going to be, or
Yeah.
maybe it's not as effective to be 100% JT initiation
Yeah.
either.
He's not gonna have like a 45% usage rate, but it
Yeah,
should
yeah, no,
definitely
absolutely.
be more than 25.
No, yeah, for me though, I was like, yo, like, do what they're doing with Luca type shit. Obviously, he's more of
Yeah.
like a point guard, so not play style, but in terms of like usage, obviously. So
Mhm.
I was on that boat, but even I'm cool with
100%.
that not being as big of a thing because of the way that he plays within the flow of the offense. I think he's integral for that to happen, and and part of that is not him not being on ball essentially. Um, but when it comes down to it, when we need it, that's when we fucking like should go to it. And it
Yeah.
seemed at least to end the Pacers series or just the Pacers series overall that we were leading more towards that when we really needed it.
Right.
So that's all I'm asking for, to be honest.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's what I was gonna say too. I said when it matters most, I think the ball's got to be in JT's hands. Like that's just plain and simple. But I think I'm with just everybody. Like we have all the capable guys, so I feel like it's
Yeah.
never a bad thing. Like we're never not gonna have a good position. I guess yeah, we'll have here and there we'll have our hiccups and stuff like that. But I think we've seen throughout the playoffs like JB's made like a significant like improvement compared to last year. So obviously playing at the Heat, he was saying he can't go left. I think you kind of could see like he's definitely I wouldn't say like to JT's level, but he's shown improvements that he could kind of like initiate too. And obviously Drew's been there before. He's made big plays. He definitely understands. He's a vet in this, so I think he's definitely gonna like be in JT's ear and be like, all right, well, times when we need it, I think you're gonna have to be the one. You're gonna have to take us home on this one.
Yo.
So I think just that's the one benefit. Like Drew Holiday, like I think yeah, it was kind of like a Mickey Mouse run for them, but I think just the experience and for him to be with us now and us getting a second chance, I think he's definitely going to be the voice to JT and kind of have to like be like, all right, you got to go get it this time. Like they ain't no second doubts. You know what I mean?
Yo, shout out to Drew though. He's been
No, he
arguably
stepped it
the
up.
second best player at times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, he stepped it out crazy.
Yeah, since the second round, honestly.
yeah.
Definitely
So,
was, yeah, arguably the most consistent throughout the Pacers series.
mhm.
Because yeah, JT had his ups and downs. Same thing with JB. Even though they all played very well, I'd say Drew, every single game,
Yep.
had moments, was very impactful.
On both ends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
You call Jordan the flu game. You got to call that
The
Drew
Drew
stealing
game.
game 3 the Drew game, bro. You know what I'm
Solid.
saying? But, yeah.
All right. So yeah. I mean, for the Mavs, I guess a disadvantage, would be their perimeter defense. I don't think they really have anybody that can check the Jays.
I agree, but like I think
Not.
it's still the
Yeah.
best perimeter personnel that we've been up
I'm not.
against.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're fucking cones like the Pacers were.
But yeah, yeah.
but like, but for the most part, like I think the only team I felt had the true personnel to defend the Jays were the Wolves and to an extent the Nuggets. With
Oh no, for
with
sure.
the size that they have, but I do think it will be a disadvantage considering how well the Jays play against that team in general. We did see a little bit of it. They did play one game after the deadline. I think we blew them out in Dallas, but it's hard
Yeah.
to really judge a game one off regular season game, right? So we don't truly know how these teams will play against each other. But I will say the perimeter defense, for the most part, would be the one disadvantage I would see in the
Mhm.
Mavs.
I would say
Yeah.
the main or one that I could see being a big con is that Luka's gonna have to work now. Um,
Defensively, yeah,
last series, um, he got away a lot with just being able to not do anything because they have basically 2 to 3 guys that aren't really going to, make you work like that with like Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, and Jaden McDaniels. Like, yeah, they can. I mean, Rudy Gobert can kind of finish stuff, but and Jaden McDaniels had his moments for sure. But you don't really go to them to do stuff. So there were lots of times where Luka was just able to stand and just
yeah,
chill,
in the
and then on
corner.
offense start cooking. But that's what really brought confidence to this concept for me was when we were reversing the Pacers, and especially when Halliburton was playing, the fact that we really didn't give a fuck who was on or who Halliburton was on. We were giving him the ball, we were giving that
Yeah,
player the ball and attacking Halliburton.
Yeah.
So I think in similar ways, the Celtics aren't going to shy away from the fact that all 5 of our guys can attack Luka
yep,
in some kind of way and make him work. So he's
Yeah.
not, in theory, he shouldn't look as refreshed on offense throughout this whole entire series.
yeah,
He should be actually working on the defensive end. And yeah, he has been doing a lot better on ball defensively.
mm-hmm.
But for the Timberwolves series, for sure, like there were lots of times where he was just able to stand around, and that's like damn near impossible with the kind of offense and the personnel that we're going to be throwing out there on the offensive end.
yeah,
So I could see Luca, and especially like with the whole knee situation and all that stuff,
yep.
really getting slowed down by that, because he has to work, or just our offense being a lot more effective because Luca
That's
is not
that's
engaged.
actually what I was gonna say. Like the same way they're gonna test Porzingis' knee, we're gonna
Yeah.
test Luca's knee
It's just Luka. Yeah.
hmm
for sure.
Another disadvantage for the Mavs is they gotta play with the best team in basketball, man. Number one offense, number two defense. Like in the league, man. That's the whole disadvantage right there, man. Like, yeah, you could say they were battle tested throughout this whole run, but I think now this is their biggest challenge. Like, um, I don't think they don't they play a good team defense, but I think they're not going to be able to sustain any type of like steam, I guess, to kind of like stop us. But also, I think the only thing that is going to stop us is ourselves. Like if we have a bad shooting night, or if I personally just don't think that the Mavs are going to single handedly like be able to contain us. And then also like the Mavs for their offense, I think they're just going to have to end up playing down to our like their defensive scheme is going to have to come down to the best way to try to maintain and keep up with us. Because I think playing Lively and Gafford the minutes that they've been playing, like against the Timberwolves and all that, like it's not going to be sustainable. They're going to have to, like you already said, like Maxi Kleber is going to have to play. I'm pretty sure Tim Hardaway barely got minutes last round. I think he's going to play some type of factor this series, just to be able to stretch the floor and be another shooter for Luka. I just don't think like and then them playing Jaden Hardy like as an energizer off the bench. I think no matter who they put out, like you were saying earlier, we're gonna attack everybody and anybody. I think we don't have any fear, like defending, like defender wise. Like we're not gonna be like
Yeah,
man, we're gonna get our threes off. But at the end of the day, if there's a mismatch, there's a mismatch. Like the Pacers, we had a ton of mismatches.
I do
So,
believe at the end of the day, both Luca and Kyrie have to play extremely well for the Mavs to win the whole thing.
oh, for
Absolutely.
In
sure,
all four
for
games.
sure.
And I think the luxury we have, and this goes back to the depth, is JT and JB like don't have to have the greatest games of their lives. For
Yeah.
4 games, right? We have
I mean,
depth
I do.
in a way.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm no, yeah, I'm wondering how far that can be taken because that obviously,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like that's a con or anything, but yeah, the fact that Luca is the best player and JT has been kind of like up and down throughout this playoffs.
Mhm.
There is a world where because he isn't playing up to par to like either what we think or even like against Luca and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that gap is just enough for us to lose the series.
Yeah.
I think like another point I guess to it is that the Mavs are very much like a bruiser team
Yeah.
as well. While we're like the opposite of that, and typically like that as the series gets longer, that those things play a part.
Yeah.
As in like the team that is like the bruiser team and gets those ugly games and buckets and stuff like that will typically be able to pull that out
Yeah.
compared to the team that tries to like is very much more finesse. And
Yeah.
I think that could be a scary sign if things start to extend because I mean we talked about the Luka Kyrie thing specifically, but I think them as a whole are just can get those gritty wins.
Yeah.
And not that we're incapable of doing that, but I probably have more faith in them to pull that out than the Celtics, unfortunately.
I will say this. If there is a duo that could do it 4 times, it's probably them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've seen Kyrie do it before with another guy called
Mhm.
James, right? Against the Warriors. Like I know they had Kevin Love and shit, but like let's be honest here, that was a fucking 2-man game.
Yeah.
Through and they pulled it off in
Mm-hmm.
7 games, but against the fucking Warriors. So but no, like they definitely have the ability to do it, but I don't know. I guess we'll see, right? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, all this is theoretical. So let's get to our theoreticals. What you got? Who you got, and in how many games? And who do you got for Finals MVP?
I got Celtics, bro. But I can't right now. I can't tell you in how many games because honestly, my heart can't take Game 7. As much as
Listen,
like
man,
it'd
if
be
we hit a
crazy.
Game 7 in this series, I'm at the
I'm not-
from the hospital. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
bro, I can't. Yeah, I like
you
it.
probably won't like to hear, it, but if it goes Game 7, I'm not rooting for the Celtics. But or not I'm not rooting. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think the Celtics are gonna win that. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
That's why I have it just 6. I have Celtics in 6.
Celtics
I
in
think,
6.
like I said, the more it extends, / like, Luka's just that fucking guy in pressure, man. Like, I'm fucking scared of Luka in Game 7.
To be fair,
I think
so
this man will
JT,
go crazy.
though. To be fair,
He is,
so
but
JT.
I mean, Luka has consistently done that through this playoffs and his whole career. JT, it can happen,
I
but
think once we hit Game 7, aside from last year, if we hit a Game 7, aside from last year, obviously because of the literal injury seconds in and wasting all of our money and time, he has been consistently great in Game 7s.
he has been.
Sure.
But it's still.
So I do think it'll be more of a competition. I understand. I get the thought process though, where Luka is probably, I guess, a more trustworthy in terms of like, okay, he's gonna do what he needs to do, and they're gonna go to him. So like the question mark around JT is, will he actually like, yo, get on my back?
That's what I'm saying, and nothing has pointed towards that yet. Which is why I'm just making the judgment off of
Sure.
what we're seeing this run. Obviously, like, yeah, he has done all these great things at points throughout his career too, but we've also seen him not be the greatest in certain games as well.
100%.
So if and for Luka, I can't say the same. So if that's the two comparisons right there, like I'm taking the guy who is like routinely like showed up every major star that he's versed essentially.
Yeah.
While
For sure.
JT has done that, but there are also stars that he hasn't, or like specific matchups. Obviously, it's like a team game or whatever like that, but specific matchups that he didn't completely like outplay the other guy.
Right. So,
In a whole series essentially.
No, for sure, for sure. I think I'm gonna take my guy though. So, with that being said, I'm gonna be a little surprising with my pick. So like, the Celtics, obviously, I'm picking the Celtics, but I think the Celtics win in 5, bro. Like,
That's what I was.
No,
gonna say.
I can see 5. I
I
can
think
see
the
5.
Celtics win in
I'm saying
5.
6.
I'm not gonna disrespect the Mavericks. Now. I'm not saying this is an easy series by any means. I honestly don't see any blowouts.
Yeah.
Nah.
I honestly genuinely think that this will be a hard-fought series, but I do think at the end of the day, I'm going to put my trust in, one, KP's knee being better than anticipated because of the extra rest we were able to get, and then 2, this is the freshest the Jays will be this late in June
Yeah.
in their careers. Like, this is the first time in their careers they didn't play a single Game 7 before the Eastern Conference
Yep.
Finals, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Obviously, we've only been to the finals once before, and to get there, we played 2 back-to-back 7-game series. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think we're all kind of dying for Thursday to come.
No, actually,
Oh,
I need this game
sure.
ready. I'm trying to, but yeah, season 6, JT's my Finals MVP.
Yeah, season
JT.
5 JT as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, season 5 JT. Yep.
And
I just
I mean, like,
if these guys don't play like it's the
up to
fucking
their
finals,
potential, yeah,
then I could see this going in 5.
yeah,
But
100%.
we'll just see if they come out
Yeah.
like it's the fucking
Oh
finals.
my god, dude, I fucking hope
like,
so.
I fucking yeah.
Fucking-
Because
Oh my
that would be huge. Like I think
yeah.
they still have that gear to hit, and
Mm.
thankfully they kind of showed it. I hate this kind of game plan or whatever, or like this method of play, but flipping the switch. I never fucking trust the Celtics flipping the switch. But
'Cause
in the
usually
Pacer
it's
series,
yeah.
but in the Pacer series, they were able to flip the switch and close out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, if they just fucking keep that switch on this whole series, which they should because it's the finals, that would be amazing to see.
Yep.
But there's a chance that they don't do that.
We need that fucking two-way J energy when we play the Nets in 2022.
No,
Because
absolutely.
They definitely the Mavs have the stars that kind of match up to that level. So hopefully playing those two guys kind of initiates that shit immediately. We don't need
Yeah, Luca is diff though.
switches
Luca is
on,
diff for
bro.
sure.
And yo, I
JT
mean, we were
Bus.
talking about it. JTC red whenever you see Luca.
No,
Oh, yeah, he
you know,
does.
like because
Yeah.
like there's a superstar in the path. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
J-
yeah, I fucking
JT
hope
must
so.
cement his legacy, bro.
Yo, second. Also,
Yeah.
yo,
Need that.
Boss, TD Garden, get your shit together, man.
Hey.
$1,400 for tickets is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
dude. I'm pretty sure this is the most expensive finals that
It is,
That shit's
Like ever.
sickening.
People were saying.
Yeah.
bro. It's like fucking $900 for balcony seats, like back row. We paid
Mhm.
$600 not 2 years ago. Like, you want the Garden to be loud or
Insane,
not,
bro.
bro? Like,
That's crazy.
get the tech
Nah,
out
pe-
of
pe-
here.
I just
People,
want the money,
people are
bro.
going though. People are
People are
going.
gonna
for sure.
go, but god damn it, we shouldn't have to fucking take out loans to go to a
fuck it,
fucking
yeah.
basketball
Yeah, no, that-
game, man.
Let's give me some free tickets, man.
Yeah, that's
we can turn
fucking
TD Garden up.
Yo, man, who I gotta be friends with? Like,
I'm gonna pull up though. Outside of TD, I'll get lit over there.
I mean, I'm gonna try to go. I'm honestly gonna try to go. I think we're all gonna try to go, but like, well,
We'll see.
we'll
Yeah.
fucking see, man. Don't buy tickets on Twitter.
You could though. Hey, I've done it. I've done it. I've
Don't-
done it. But I wouldn't advise people to. I would not advise people to.
I'll say this is a PSA. There are people that are legit on Twitter. I'm not gonna sit here and discredit a lot of people, but if it's too good to be true, it probably
Yeah, I would not
is.
advise
Don't
people.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just to give you a story, Kyle saw someone on Twitter selling lodge seats, section 21, row 5 for $650 each. To give you guys
And I was like, hell no.
reference, right? These are fucking baseline seats, and row 5.
Yeah, man.
So like literally behind VIP. These are going for $5,000 a piece on Ticketmaster. So. And this dude was selling it for $650, and his name was Ant for Ant MVP season. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because he did have JT. He did have JT on
He
there
did
too.
have Ant and JT.
So I was like,
I feel-
how are you gonna have that?
Nah. I feel like he put that shit in his.
He added that
profile
shit after?
so that
Yeah.
some niggas are trying to buy from him, yo. I'm telling you.
Imagine
I'm
that'd be
telling you.
funny.
But yeah,
People be crazy, man.
be safe out there. Don't spend your hard-earned money on something that's too good to be true. But anyway, I think consensus. This should be the year. Hopefully next week we are celebrating. And until
True.
next time.
Great time.
Peace.
Hey.